Welcome to The Author Next Door, where hosts Angela Haas and Cassie Newell chat about the wild world of writing and publishing. Join them for weekly episodes and special monthly guests. Pull up a chair. The conversation starts now.
Hey, it's us. Welcome to the Author Next Door podcast, where we're recording live from the Superstars Writing Seminar Conference in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Going on this year was February 5th through the 9th. And we are just trying to share our conference experience with you and interview some guests that are passing by. And apologies for any background noise, other things that are happening, but this is live and this is fun. So get on board or get out of the way. Episode 7.
And we're together.
Yes, we're together. Okay. So we are interviewing guests and speakers and everyone at Superstars Writing Seminar for our podcast, The Author Next Door. And what we're trying to get to listeners who maybe haven't attended a conference or are not sure how conferences work, we're just trying to say, hey, here's the experience you could have. And we're talking with Heather Jones, aka Jen Fier. Like the tree. Like the tree. Got it. Okay. So can you share a little bit about yourself and like how long you've been coming to Superstars and why you...
Yeah, so I'm an author. I'm not published, but I've written several novels and several short stories. I come to Superstars because this is a place that is not just your typical writing conference. This is a lot more than that. This is for people who are really serious and really truly love writing and envision it being a part of their professional life, making money at it, publishing your books, getting out there doing marketing. It's not just, how do I do a plot or a character? It's, how do I market my novel effectively in today's, economy? How do I interact with like the romance genre and book talk or something like that? It's getting into the nitty gritty of everything. And it's learning from the best of the best and some people you never heard of. But the coolest thing is that we're all essentially tribe here is what we call it. We're all the Superstars tribe and we're all on the same level. So you can talk to a Jim Butcher, you could talk to Kevin J. Anderson and, some people you don't even know. And we're all just sort of friends here.
Yes, it's such a great atmosphere. So positive. Everyone's so welcoming. That's the experience I've had.
For sure.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, David, I learned so much from you and marketing and selling direct and all the good things. So what is your experience like coming to conferences? Let me ask you your experience. And then the next question, what's your biggest tip for somebody who wants to come to a conference and hasn't?
So before I get out of conferences, I am not a writer. I'm not an author. My wife, Lydia Scher, is a USA Today bestselling author, and I do all of her marketing. So what I originally came to these type of conferences to do is to learn how to market, to learn how to get my wife's books out there. I'm also a game designer, so I make board games. I make board games and card games and stuff like that. So I wanted to learn what I can adapt from the book world into the gaming world. And it's let me successfully launch 2 different Kickstarters. Both of them were funded to the tune of $46,000. Both of them fully successful, hit stretch goals, fulfilling my Kickstarter for a game called Outflanked right now. But what I came here was to learn things and to learn marketing and social connections and things like that. And I've done that to the point where I am now teaching people the things that I have learned so that people can miss those missteps that I've made. I had a panel earlier today. It ended about a couple hours ago now. And I've spent all of the time since then sitting down and talking to people, having one-on-one conversations, talking about their current situation and what I could do to help them or what they can take from my model and apply to their current situation.
Thank you for your time and for giving all of that.
Yeah, people gave to me whenever I first started.
Exactly,
so I want to give back. And the other question was, what should new people look for whenever they go to conferences, especially if you're someone who is like me, who's doing it for the business side? You look for those connections. You look for what other people are doing. You look for what things work and what things don't work, where to go, what conventions to do, who to use for a publisher, like all those physical things you need to worry about after your novel's written. Like, this is the place to find that out.
Yeah, I love that.
I can walk down the hall and talk to everybody and go, hey, what's best practices on publishing and marketing your novel?
Right.
You'll get a different answer from everybody. And take that and mold it to what fits best for you.
For you. That's perfect. That's perfect. Because a lot of people in this industry are introverts. And that's difficult, to come up to people you don't know. But I think, and especially smaller conferences like this, everyone is so giving.
Fun fact, I am an introvert.
You are?
I
I would never know that.
I am an extreme introvert, and whenever I come to these conventions, I have to put my game face on.
Yeah.
Whenever we first got into this, I noticed like there's one convention where the author culture was that they believe that whenever people go to conventions, they want to see the author at work.
Right. Oh, right.
They also believe they wanted to see the artists making paintings or drawing pictures. The authors thought that the customers wanted to see the author at work. And when you're sitting like 20 feet back from your table and you've just got a spread of books and a banner with your picture on it,
Right.
that's not going to sell novels.
Right.
What you need to do is you need to talk to everyone. You need to go, hey, do you like to read? Do you like our sales pitches?
Mhm.
When people walk by, we ask them if they like to read. We ask them if they like magical adventure, snarky humor, and talking cats. And then if they say yes, we're like, can I tell you about a book? And we get really excited. Like, you have to do that. You have to be there for people in order to get them to come in and buy your stuff.
Right.
Because they just won't buy it on their own. There's an adage that says a good book finds its audience, and that's completely incorrect. When there's 600,000 books on Amazon,
So true.
1 in 600,000, you got to find some way to stand out. And just talking to people and being a good person, a personable person, is a great way to stand out in this industry.
Thank you so much, David. Tell everyone where they can find your wife's books and your games.
So you can find my wife's books at lydiasherr.com. That's LYDIASHERRER.com. And you can find me at Chenoweth Games at CHENOWETHGAMES, Chenoweth Games. And I make fun, quick games involving a magical talking cat.
I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Jennifer. Introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Brinn. I write primarily short fiction, although hopefully we'll have novel coming out soon. My stories are strong characters and extraordinary situations in their normal world. So
for people that have been to conferences, what is the one thing that you love about going to conferences?
I love connecting with people whose minds work along the same wavelength as me.
Oh, okay.
There's a way you talk about writing and you talk about story that when you start doing this with normal people, they look
Normal
they're
people?
they're like, yeah, I like that book. It was fine. And I'm like, yeah, but the character arc and the tropes and
The connection of this
yeah.
plot line.
Right. And like how it all came together. And then they're, the all is lost moment. And they're like, and
So these are the people you can talk to.
yeah,
And it's inspiring, right?
it really is. It really is. There's a lot of energy, and conferences like Superstars is very much supporting each other and celebrating each other's wins. There's no competition. It's not a zero-sum game, and we all realize that.
Right.
And the more good books that are out there, the more people are reading.
Yeah.
The more, all of us work. Yeah, I love that. We all want to read really good books. So we want to help each other write those good books so we can read them. So
Absolutely. All right. So tell listeners where they can find your books.
I'm at jennifer-brinn.com.
Perfect.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome Jennifer Rose. Jen, right?
Yes.
All right. So we're talking about things you've learned at conferences and why you come here. So if you could give kind of a summary of what you've gained at this conference and conferences you've been to for listeners that may have not gone to a conference yet, what would they get out of it?
I can think of a lot of answers to your question, but the first thing that comes to mind is that my first mistake ever was that I didn't go to a writer's conference, and it took me 8 years to write my first book. And after going to conferences since about 2012 regularly, I feel like one of the biggest mistakes I ever made is not going to a conference before I finished my first book, because I would have learned all these strategies and techniques and met people who pushed me and were like, here are some strategies you can use that were in books that long ago. I think I probably could have finished my book in at least half the time if I had had an actual writing community. And I didn't wait until I had finished that first book.
That's an amazing story, actually.
Thank you.
So motivating and inspiring. So how many books do you have now?
I've written about 12 books and some short stories and novellas. So far, I've published 2 books that are in the middle grade category. And here's a good example of how networking and just getting to know people. Networking is often a dirty word, but really just means getting to know people and sharing a bit of yourself, and they share a bit of themselves, and we all kind of like work together and help each other. And
Right.
you know, see where the pieces fall. if I hadn't come to all these conferences, such as Superstars, I wouldn't have a short story in the Weird Tales magazine right now.
That's so awesome. That is so awesome.
Which is huge. This is my newest book called Lyn Worthing and the Two-Faced Demon. And it's like Goosebumps, but with a proudly disabled heroine. And I wrote it so that disabled kids could see themselves in fun, adventurous stories, just like everybody else.
I love that.
And the next
So
book,
awesome.
2 books in the series are coming out by the summer.
I love that. Thank you so much, Jen.
Thanks for having me.
All right. I'm here with Jason Hamilton. I'm so excited. I'm kind of fangirling. So I'm trying to be very cool. Anyway, with regards to conferences, what is a tip that you would give new authors or established authors that haven't been to a conference yet? Like, what would they get out of it?
I think the best thing that I personally get out of a conference, that people can get out of a conference, is just being around other like-minded people. There's something kind of magical that happens when you are in a room of other people trying to do the same thing. You know, there's almost like I hesitate to use a word like psychic, but there's a sort of like communal brain thing that happens it can be life-changing in some cases. So that's it for me. Like, yes, there's great information at these conferences. You can learn a lot. You can meet people that you might not have known before who can help you out with whatever problem you're facing at the time. All that's great, but it's an investment that you put into yourself. And the more invested you are in something, the more likely you are to like take action and get stuff done.
Yeah. So what do you do in follow-up after the conference? Because we haven't asked anyone that yet.
For me, conferences are all about the people. So I meet a lot of people. I get a lot of business cards. I'll try when I can to have dinner with a couple of people just to like get to know them a little bit better. And so for me, what I'm doing after a conference, it's all about the follow-up. Just reaching out to people saying, hey, I was this large dude that you talked to, and just making connections. I think we often think, and I don't know how many of your authors will actually appreciate this, but I think we often think of writing as a solitary activity.
Yeah.
That you do it, it's your own business. If you're self-publishing, it's just you do it all yourself,
Right.
That kind of thing. When in fact, I don't think there is an industry anywhere that does not benefit from networking and knowing, it is, even in a solitary business like writing, it is a lot about who you know, especially if you're going traditional.
Yeah.
Because with traditional, it really is about who you know, and like finding the right editors, the right agents, other authors who have been published, stuff like that. So
I've enjoyed connecting with vendors here. So funny. There's tax and lawyers. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you.
Yeah.
I don't think that ever happens usually, but now that I'm in a business and I need to make sure my bookkeeping is right and all the things, like I love that part of conferences is the vendors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I love that too.
yeah, that's great. So Jason, where can people find you and your books and the things that you do?
So the main thing I do is I have a YouTube channel called The Nerdy Novelist. My books are on Amazon under Jason Hamilton. Have a couple of books for authors. I also I write historical fantasy, especially if it's related to mythology or the King Arthur myths and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's all there.
Right. Well, thank you, Jason, so much for the impromptu. If we can get Jason on here, that'd be awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm here with Lyn Worthing, my wonderful and lovely friend who is a conference guru. That's pretty accurate.
Oh,
correct?
my goodness.
Well, I have been to a lot of conferences.
Yes. I've been to the previous 20 books to 50K with you, and then now that's transitioning to Author Nation here at Superstars with you, which is a slightly smaller conference. So can you speak to like maybe the differences or what people can expect from a really large conference where there's like 2,000 people to this one that's about 400?
Well, a really large conference is trying to, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but they're trying to cover all the bases.
Right.
And so there is so much programming that it becomes, you end up spoiled for choice, and you have so many choices that sometimes it's hard to know what to choose, because if I go to this panel, then I'm going to miss 12 others. And so that's a challenge for authors. Smaller conferences like here at Superstars, yes, there are multiple panels happening at the same time, but there's also the whole conversations, and there's the feeling of connection and camaraderie with the attendees that is harder to get at a big conference where you feel like a little guppy in a very, very, very large ocean.
Yes. No, I felt that way. The first conference I went to was 20 books and I felt so,
You threw yourself into the deep end.
oh gosh, it was too much. Yeah. So what do you've written so many books. What do you still get out of these conferences? Is it purely the networking, seeing friends, or what do you still come to conferences?
No. Well, I have taken many classes. I've gone to many conferences, and a lot of it is getting advice and tips and tricks from different perspectives. And so when I came to Superstars, I was looking for the perspectives from New York Times bestsellers, because those were the people who organized this conference.
Mhm.
Other conferences might have perspectives from indie bestsellers or other indie authors. Other perspectives might be focused solely in on romance or mystery.
Right.
So here I'm looking for, what do other people say? What do people say who are writing things like I write?
Yeah. No, that's a great way to look at it. You really do find your people.
Yes.
Because writing can be so lonely. Sometimes we're just alone at our desk and you're just like, is there anyone else out in the void who feels the same way or who is where I am? And that's where I've found so many connections at this conference.
Yeah. My husband says, you go to Superstars every year. What do you learn from them? I said, I connect with my people.
Yeah.
You know, I connect with these are my friends. These are my family now, my extended family. And so even in the hall conversations, I learned so much.
Right.
In the different panels and workshops, even if they're panels or workshops that I have attended multiple times, there's always something new.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't write everything down. And even listening to the recordings, you're still going to miss something. And so hearing it again, now maybe I'm hearing something at a time when I'm ready for it.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good point.
But in addition to all that, it's the connections.
Yeah.
It's the connections that just, keep me motivated when I'm feeling all alone and like, oh my God, I don't know. Why do people do this? And then I come here and there's the energy and there's the companionship and there's the connection. And it's like, oh, right, this is why we do this.
Right. Yes, exactly. Well, that's perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's going to be so valuable for listeners. Where can people find you and learn more about what you're doing?
The easiest place is either on Facebook or on my website. On Facebook, I'm at Camden Park Press. And on my website, it's camdenparkpress.com.
Perfect. Find Lyn because she's amazing. She's amazing. We love her. Thank you so much.
How are these?
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Here we are again.
Hey, we're here. We're back.
Oh my gosh. So that was so fun interviewing.
So many great, there are so many great authors here, but I love that it's part of that community that they're willing to jump in and say, sure, I'll be on your podcast.
Right at the last minute. I just riffed from the hip.
We were just pulling people and they're like, yeah, that sounds great. So what are your takeaways? How's your conference experience been?
My conference experience has been fabulous. People remembered me from last year. So I think there's something to that. If you find a conference that you like, definitely go back.
Yeah.
Because you're going to see similar people, the same people. That was lovely. And of course, I got to see one of my really good friends. I actually sold some books. I made some contacts. I pitched and it went really well.
Yeah. Tell us about your pitch.
No, not yet.
Okay. But it went really well. And those are the things. I've had some amazing career counseling sessions because at Superstars, it's not just going into different seminars. You can sign up for 3 career counseling sessions with experts. Last year, Kevin J. Anderson, who is associated with the Dune novels and Star Wars universe, he was my career counselor and set me on a totally incredible. And I had Michael LaRon as my career counselor this time. Dana Claire.
Yes, Dana.
Yeah, she was an amazing career counselor. But you also have pitch sessions where you can pitch your novel.
Yeah.
Different agents. It's agents.
Agents, publishers.
Right.
You get a full network of different kinds of opportunities to pitch to.
Yes. So all in all, I've had an amazing time and people remembered me.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Dana Claire, again, it's the hallway conversations that mean everything where you're exchanging cards and networking. But she said someone had told her that you should go to the same conference 3 times in a row before you judge it.
Nice.
Because you're going to have a slightly different experience every time. So this is our second, which means we got to come back next year. Yeah. Conferences, if you can afford it, if you can navigate it, there is a cost, but it's so much more. It's so worth it for really for your career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the career counseling is fabulous.
Yeah.
I think the sessions are fabulous because you don't have to go to every one of them, but certainly the ones that speak to you where you are within your authorship, right?
Yes.
And it helps you build it. Everything is just inspiring. Like you get that buzz.
Energized.
Yeah.
Yes.
So buzz. But I also have to say, I was dragging ass last night. I was so beat, but it's like that good kind of beat too. Like everything's just swirling in your brain.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that reminds me. So next week, we're going to deep dive into more of a conference experience, like do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
And I think remember to talk about that, like pacing yourself.
Yeah.
Definitely tune in for our conference to do's and don'ts and maybes. I think there's a conference maybe section.
Sure. Absolutely. All right. So with that, I think we could probably wrap up.
Having a great time. We're going to continue.
I'm sad that I have to fly back.
It's hurtful. It's honestly hurtful.
I know. All good things come to an end, I suppose. Until next year.
Till next year, or Author Nation. See us there.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for joining today's episode of The Author Next Door. Be sure to like, follow, and tell us your thoughts of this week's episode. Angela and Cassie would love to hear from you.